Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 8th to the 11th of July, 2024. Hello! Are you right? I guess it's coming home or something. Yeah? Footy? Yeah? Coming home. 3 tigers on a shirt, or, you know, all that sort of thing. Hi, Ree, how are you?
All right, all right.
Right.
Isn't it 4 tigers? No, it's
I
3
don't know.
lions.
Isn't it 3 leopards? I mean, right, okay, so obviously, with all this football going on, right,
Yes,
it means we're getting inserts and stuff, right? The one this week, honestly, I have to say, I did not understand a word of it.
They just said lots of names and
Lots
that
of
people
names.
kicked a ball and
Yeah,
somebody
and then they started singing a song.
Somebody's girl didn't get counted for. I actually watched that bit. I watched that happen. Because
Right.
I actually put a bet on Netherlands winning 2-1 for the first time in my life, and it was the other way around. So
Right. The only
I was invested with the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, the only
Entire
involvement
game.
I've had in this entire
But I
thing
watched it.
is there was a sweepstake on at work, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It was like £2. You might win the sweepstake. And so you give them £2, and then you pull a random country out of like a bowl that's been written down.
Oh,
so you get a random
okay.
country, and if that country is either in first or second place, I think, then I might win money. So I pulled mine out. Mine was Ukraine. Now, not to get too political, but they're a bit busy at the moment to be practicing
Yeah.
football and stuff, and
Yeah.
they apparently went out quite early, so that was a waste of £2. So I
So
kind
you've
of
not won?
lost interest after that. To be perfectly honest with you,
Yeah.
so there we are.
Wait, hang on then, Rob. The big question: Who are
Yes.
England against then in next March? Is it the final?
Yes, it's the
Or is it
final.
the
I think it's Spain.
half final?
Spain. No, it's the final. I
Because
think
it's just
Spain.
been the semi-final. Is then there a
Yes.
half final?
Yes.
No, it's the
No,
final.
a half. There's no such thing as a half final.
What is it? Is it the semi-final? The final
Semi-final.
before the final?
Yes, it's the final. The final on Sunday.
Oh, I
I
thought
think
there were another final in between. Oh my
versus
God!
Spain. How many
I
finals
don't
do
even
you want?
care. I don't
How many
even
finals do you
care.
want?
Why am I asking?
Don't give them more finals to do. Make it end.
Right,
all right?
so it's against Spain. Right,
It's against
okay.
Spain, apparently. Yeah.
No
But
chance
this is,
then.
I don't know if this is the furthest we've ever. How would you know? I don't know if this is the furthest we've ever been. But you know,
I do have a partner who is very interested in football who's told me that Spain are really
right.
good.
So can I ask you to ask him all these questions and not me, because I don't care.
Okay, yeah, I know, but then I
fair
ask
play.
him and then my brain just like switches off when he
Yeah.
starts talking about it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's all right. Right, folks.
Right, anyway, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Right, folks, bit of news. So you know how next week looks to be really big and everything?
Yes, it does, doesn't it, Rob?
If
For
you've seen any
EastEnders, a
spoilers,
huge week
yeah,
for
you know,
EastEnders next week.
It looks really, really big next week.
Does it looks like a really good big week on EastEnders next week, Rob?
I'm really sorry. I'm on holiday next week. I'm sorry. All right, I didn't know that this was going
And to
to work out
clarify,
this
he's
way.
only just told me this as well. Didn't think to
would-
tell me this sooner.
I did tell her, but it was probably off
He
camera.
reckons-
So
oh,
it
we're
was
off
off camera,
camera.
so she's
Didn't
got no
happen.
idea. She only
Didn't
watches
happen
our
then.
conversations back. She doesn't listen to anything I say to her off camera. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm not here next week. We will, because it looks to be a big old week next week with lots of stuff kicking off. So we will cover it all when we return. I promise you. All right, but you just have to wait a little bit longer than you normally would. You know, like a week.
Rob really apologises.
I do
Rob's
genuinely
really
apologize.
sorry.
I don't like missing big weeks. I really don't. So it's unfortunate that it's kind of fallen this way. I'm going to Budapest, by the way, in case you were interested.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I hope you have a lovely time in Budapest
Thanks.
while
It's
everyone in
40
Albert Square is
degrees.
probably not having a good
No.
time.
It's 40 degrees in Budapest at the minute, apparently. I'm going to be really,
Eh.
really hot. I'm going with 4 lads. Well, I say lads, we're all gay. And two of them are going for the Formula One. I didn't know. Honestly, you should meet these two that are going to see this Formula One, right? When I first discovered that they were into Formula One, it's literally like learning that Doc Cotton's into heavy metal. You wouldn't know it to look at them, honestly. But that's what I'm. So they're doing that.
Anyway.
And me and my other mate are just getting pissed all week. So it's gonna be fine. But unfortunately, that's what I'm doing next week. So apologies, but we will cover all the big stuff that kicks off next week in explicit detail. Don't worry about that. Right, on to this week, however. It was kind of a big week. Like the big
What's
story.
happened?
A lot
What's
has happened. One of those weeks where it's an absolute nightmare to put together in notes because there was a big story, big overarching story throughout the week, but then loads of little stories that we've got to sort of just pick up and talk about before we get to the big stuff. So, should we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, let's crack on with this week. We'll start off with talking about Reiss and Sonia and Sharon. Now then, I love most stories at the moment in EastEnders. I really, really do.
You love Reiss.
I do love Reiss. I do love
You
Reiss, and I
still
love
do?
Sonia. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I am, however, very ready for this IVF thing to begin and like to move on. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it feels like this is going on for a long. I know IVF takes a long
I
time,
was going to
and
say,
if it,
Rob, like, bit
I know,
harsh because people do have to, like,
I know
go
people do
through
this for
years of
years. I know
this,
they do it for
and you're
years,
fed
don't
up of
they?
watching it for a
But you
few
know
months.
what?
Come
I don't
on.
have to. But you know what? The difference between them and this is that I don't have to watch them. I don't have to do a
Well,
podcast
yeah.
about them.
Yes,
You know,
yes. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm like,
I
what are you on about?
sat there with binoculars. Oh, I think they've got successful
Oh.
this time. No, but we seem to have a little bit of movement on it this week. Sonia's having
Do you
another
know what?
round.
Do you know what I think it is? Like it's constant, and I feel like, and I could be totally wrong on this, but remember when the last round failed, and everyone was like, maybe you should take a bit of a break, Sonia. I
Yeah,
feel like they actually should have
should have
made her
taken a
take a
break.
break.
Maybe should have taken a
Yeah,
break with it. But
yeah,
then
and
this
then
would have
come
gone on for
back to
even
it.
But then this would have gone on for even
I
longer.
know,
Like I
but
say, I know
still,
it takes a while. I get that. But the thing is, IVF in soap always does go on for this long, and so they've had
yeah,
to throw all these extra additional elements at it to keep it
yeah.
interesting. So I get it, but I'm just sort of I'm ready for because I'm still unsure as to what the plan is with Reiss. You know, I really like Reiss as a character, and I get the impression that what he does this week he's not happy with himself about. So it's not like he sat there twiddling his beard in a corner and,
Mm.
and sniggering. But
Well, I'm seeing this very dark side
of
now.
course you are. Go
No,
on, tell me
I
all about
actually
it.
have, because he is so principled
Mm.
and doesn't want to do anything wrong in this. Oh, I'm so nervous. He's got no problem in nicking money off Sharon though. And I know he's desperate, but is he that desperate to nick like the way that he's doing? It's very calculated, literally.
Well, he has a letter arrived this week saying that he owes Debbie's care home over £18,000. Now, if I got a letter like that in the
No
post,
biggie.
I'd be panicking slightly. You know, like where the hell do you? And they want it in like the
I
next
get
few
it.
days.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. But whose fault is it that he owes 18
Well,
grand? You know?
whose fault's that, Reiss? Whose fault's that?
Exactly.
So and meanwhile, Sonia's starting another round of IVF, so she's hoping they're all hoping that that's going to be successful. So he's sort of looking for money, like we're trying to work out what he can do. So eventually, Sharon turns around to him and says, "Well, I've got some work for you. It's not quite 18 grand, but I've got some, you can bit of cash in hand. That'll do you some good, won't it?"
Yeah.
Um, Now I've got to be honest. What Sharon actually wanted doing went over my head completely because I'm not very good with accounts and all that kind of thing. Have you got an accountant?
I do the accounts. I do
Oh,
accounts.
soz,
So he will have
soz,
been. So basically, you need to submit all your. So
soz.
you knew
Carol
this about me,
Vorderman.
Rob.
Yeah, go on.
No, the computers do it all for you, Rob.
Oh right, okay.
Basically, any purchase that you make needs filing, and then it can go
Yes,
against your VAT bill. So what
right.
you'd pay in VAT would be
Yes,
20% of your takings if you earn over a certain amount, but you can
okay.
claim some of that back by putting in your invoices and your purchases. So you'll be doing that side, but with the sounds of it, Sharon was also owed money from clients for various things. So Reiss has been chasing that up because people are, they've not made the payments, and that's how he's then gone, oh, you owe some interest, by the way. So
And I'll have
yes,
the interest. Yes, that bit I got.
yes,
So
yes.
basically, all the interest that Sharon is owed, Reiss arranges to go into his account. Now, I'm kind of intrigued as to how long he thinks that's going to remain a secret because surely someone like Sharon, she might be a bit behind on a few things in her accounts, but I'm pretty sure that she's got enough business acumen to realise that she's being diddled.
Yeah, because surely I was just thinking, like, surely one of her customers will see her at gym and go, oh,
Do you get that
did that
interest,
money
by
go
the
into
way?
your accountants? Did that interest go into your accountant's, yeah, bank account? Like, just making sure. Surely someone's going to say that.
Yeah, you think?
Surely.
Yes,
But is she just going to trust Reiss so much that she's not going to chase anything
because
up or?
he's a very trusting bloke, isn't he? Yes, a very
Well,
trustworthy bloke.
exactly.
You'd
Exactly,
think.
Rob.
No,
Mm.
little nervous Reese from across the square wouldn't do anything like nicking
Oh, no.
£18,000 off Sharon, would it? But does that how much interest she got? 18
No,
grand.
well, there were, it showed, didn't it? And there were one that were over a grand and stuff. But I guess
Yeah.
but he saw it as, oh, well, she must not be too hard done by. She didn't notice all this money that she were
I
owed.
mean, to be fair, he's got a point. Like, if she if
Yeah.
if he's got enough now to pay off Debbie's care home bill, I'm surprised.
Surely not.
I
Surely
mean,
not.
he
He
also
were
made it.
charging interest at 20% of what they owed,
Oh,
weren't
so
they? I
did
noticed
he?
that.
Did
So
he get a
he
bit more
added
out? So he
20%
was.
on
So he was
to what they
overcharging
owed,
them. Oh, okay. So he's
and then
diddling lots of
made them.
people.
Yeah, then he made them pay the 20% into his account. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
Of all the things that we're going to get corrected about over the course of doing this podcast, I doubt that's going to be one of them.
But if so,
But
that's
if they
fine.
are,
Please do.
please do. I'm normally the one that gets corrected, so please feel free to correct Ree. Never
I'm
happens to
pretty
her.
sure that's what he did. So somebody owed, £1,000. He's got 200 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right, so I have to say, I mean, yes, I do love Reiss. And can I just say
Yes.
before I suggest this, I don't want it to go in this direction.
I know
Okay.
what you're going to say.
John
Already can
Stape.
read you. John Stape. I'm
John
totally getting
Stape.
it. And
I'm getting that
you
vibe.
know that he's got to be anchor somewhere, Rob. You know that he's got to be anchor somewhere.
I don't see why he would though. Like, what's the point of that?
But we've not heard
Because
from her. She drove off
yeah, but
drunk in a taco
she
van.
she
And
did,
then we've
but
not
she'd
seen or heard
revealed
from her
everything.
again.
Yeah, but she'd revealed everything, so it's not like he's keeping her tied up to be quiet or anything. So why would you? So why
Maybe
would
he's
you?
just a
Because
bit
he's a bit
tapped.
tapped.
What really happened to Debbie?
She had
What really happened?
you've got it all worked out, haven't you?
Well, I've
Well,
got half of it worked
half of it
out,
worked
I
out.
think. But I do think, no, I am
You
starting
think there's a
to
darker
wonder,
side to
yeah.
Reiss? I mean, I do wonder. I do wonder. I like Reiss a lot, and the thing is, I feel like we're supposed to have a sense of ambiguity about him.
Yeah,
That there's a
yeah.
little bit of sort of like, can I trust you? I don't know if I
Mm.
can. So I wouldn't be 100% surprised if it's suddenly revealed that he's got about 12 people locked up in a shed somewhere, and they
Including
all,
Bianca.
including
See?
Bianca. God, those poor people being locked up with Bianca for 12 weeks. Can you imagine?
Please get me out. I'll do
Let me
anything, Reiss.
out! Ah, please, this gobby woman. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going, really. I
So do
mean,
you think that Reiss is just desperate and throwing
yeah,
all of his morals out of the window? Or
I
do you
hope
think he has
so.
got this dark side?
I hope. Well, I hope that I'm right, and I know that.
He's
But
just really desperate
yeah, I
and
hope because I don't. The thing is, the soap serial killer thing has been done to death. Do you know what I mean? I'm so bored of soap serial killers,
we've got a
and
40th coming up, Rob.
I know, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the
I know
40,
what
like
you're saying, but also it could work with him in
yeah.
a John
I mean,
Stape kind of way.
I'm
We
gonna
should
say. I
say
mean,
that for anyone who doesn't watch
yeah,
Coronation Street, we're referring to a completely different soap there and a
yeah.
character who resembled Reiss somewhat.
It
That
was the
geeky kind
most.
of,
Yeah, but it
yeah.
was the most convoluted storyline I've ever seen in a soap, the John Soap story stuff. Honest to God. But he was sort of like an accidental serial killer, wasn't he? Like he
Yeah.
just kept
Yeah.
finding himself in these. It was quite funny, but it was just like he sort of kept finding himself in situations where he was like, "Well, you need to die now. And I don't want to kill you.
Oh,
Sorry."
great. Now I've
And
got
then
to kill someone again.
yeah, great. Sorry, my life just gets worse. So it's not like he was a sort of evil mustache twiddling villain. He was sort of just
Yeah.
like somebody whose life was just falling around, like falling down around him, so he didn't have a lot of choice. So I can sort of see that with Reiss if that is the direction they choose to go in with it.
Oh
But
my God, he's going to kill Debbie so he don't have to pay her fees anymore.
I think he'd still owe the money, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he wouldn't have to keep paying him, would he? Because, yeah, he
No.
owes 18 grand now. He's still got to keep paying him while
Oh,
she's there.
and then yeah, I can see that.
And then will
Because
that be the start of
yes,
it or something?
yes, I can see that because why have they kept Debbie around all this time? Because I'm pretty sure we
Yeah,
met Debbie about a year ago now. So she's
yeah.
just been in this coma for a year.
Mm.
And you've got to wonder why is she still sort of
Because
there
we've been
within
thinking
the
she's going to
story.
wake up. Maybe it's
Yeah,
going to be the opposite and that he kills
yeah.
her so he don't have to pay her fees
The
anymore.
opposite. She's going to be the opposite to waking up. She's going to die.
Dead.
I think you might have a point there, Ree, to be honest.
Mm.
And guess what?
Yeah.
You just said it on camera as well, so I
Oh, thank
remember
God
that.
it's on
There you go.
camera.
It's on
Thank
camera.
God. It's not going to happen now
It's
because
not going
I've
to
got
happen now. You
proof
said
for
it on
it.
camera. Yeah, there you
No.
go. I mean, please do let us know in the comment section what you think is going on with the Reese storyline. I kind of hope he isn't going to be a killer, but the more evidence that is presented to me, I sort of wonder if it is going to start going in that direction. I have to say. Let us know in the comment section. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next story. Okay, so moving on to Denzel and Howie and Yolande. So, Ree, if you ever take steroids, okay,
Yeah.
please be aware that you can't just stop taking steroids, okay? because you'll get withdrawal
Well, that
symptoms.
does make sense, to be fair,
It does
doesn't it?
seem
It
to
might
be the
not be the
logical
best
path.
idea. Yeah.
I mean, maybe don't take them in the first place, but if you are going to take them, don't just stop taking them. You have to be on a course or
I'm
something.
surprised that it took like Nugget to mention it and that no
Of all
one
people,
else,
of all
and
people, the one
Amy who
but yeah.
researched it as
Oh
well.
well, Amy, you'd expect it to, but Nugget, mind you,
Yeah, but
Nugget's got nothing to do except sit in his hospital bed, so you might as well find out what drugs he's been on. That's
I
put
just
him
mean
there.
that it's the kids who pointed out maybe it's not a good idea to just
Yeah.
stop taking a drug. Like, didn't
Isn't that
none of the
interesting?
adults think
Isn't that
going to
interesting? The
doctors?
parents
Yeah.
are sort of like, well, you can stop doing that immediately. Where actually,
Mm,
medically, it's not that good an idea. You need to sort of
yeah.
come off them steadily. I
Mm,
didn't think of it, to be honest with you. So fair play to them for that, because I bet so many times in soaps when they do a drug storyline, people just come straight off them.
yeah. And they,
This young man when he came off, like Phil when he came off his crack, it just stopped.
yeah.
It's about 2 weeks. He was a
But
crack
I don't
addict
know
for
what
two
you do
weeks.
with crack. I know with heroin you get that
I
methadone,
do,
don't you?
but that's a different conversation altogether. So sorry. Right. So where were we? Oh yes. Denzel and Howie.
Oh yeah,
So
steroids,
yeah.
not
So I
crack.
mean,
Yeah.
he is. He's still he's still moody and sort of taking it out on everybody, isn't he?
What's with his
But
arm? Why is his arm bad? Is that because he stopped taking him? Is that a
I
withdrawal
think so.
symptom?
Like I was wondering for a minute, was he having an heart attack or something?
What other
But
arm?
yeah, other arm.
What
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
arm?
So yeah. So I'm assuming it's his body going, give me the drugs back. I need the drugs to make me big again, please.
Maybe his muscles are losing mass or so. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
it's doing something to his muscles because he's just stopped taking them.
I assume this is what happens when Popeye stops eating spinach,
Yes. No,
because
he'd
that's
probably go a bit anemic, Popeye.
possibly, possibly,
Popeye.
possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, he's now going to a doctor's appointment, and he is going to slowly start coming off his steroids. So that's going to be a bit of a journey for him. I'm still not convinced that he's going to come off them altogether, though.
No, I'm not. Now that he's going to start taking them again and try and wean, maybe he's just
Yeah,
going to be like, "Well, I'm
that's
still
the hard
taking them
side
because
of
I've
it.
got to wean off them." But then really, he's
Yeah,
like taking
yeah,
double the
yeah,
dosage or
yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly because
Oh,
he's
going to
hurting
start
as well.
injecting it.
Yeah, I think so because he's hurting as well, isn't he? So I wonder
Mm,
if he's going to think, well, if I take a little bit more, maybe the pain might stop. It's a tricky path,
mm,
I think. So I mean,
yeah.
like I say, fair play to him for doing it this way because I think it's more realistic this way. So I'm intrigued to sort of see where it goes.
Mm,
I'm feeling like this is not done by a long stretch yet.
no.
Nugget, meanwhile, is sort of recovering in hospital. Still might have to have this dialysis no one
Mm.
told him about, by the way. No one told him.
Oh
Just
yeah,
sits
that were a
there.
bit harsh, weren't
Yeah,
it?
his mum Freya had to tell him that, and she was like, "Did no one tell you? Oh yeah,
But
you might
think
have
it,
to have a
yeah.
dialysis. So sorry about that."
How did she not know that no one had mentioned it as well? I know obviously she was kind of keeping a distance after
Well,
the Nish thing came out,
I think
but
she rightly assumed that someone might have mentioned it to him,
that Ravi had told him, yeah.
or
Pretty
anybody,
bad.
maybe even the
And
nurses
the
that
doctor,
worked there.
or
You know, a
yeah, by the
doctor might have
way.
said, "By the way,
Yeah.
whilst you sat there,
Mm.
you need to be aware of this small little fact." So we'll see. I mean, in all honesty, he
Even
looks.
Denzel knew, didn't he? Because
Everyone
Ravi had
knew except
mentioned it.
Nugget. Everyone knew
Literally.
except Nugget. Bless
Yeah.
him.
Poor
I mean, he
Nugget.
seems all right, doesn't he? Like he's sort of moving
Mm.
about. He's moving about. He's able to get out of bed and everything. So I
His
assume he's
bedding
going
was
to be
very
okay.
childish for his age. Did you not think? The
No, I
bedding that
didn't
he had
notice
on.
that. Was it
It
like
was
motor
very
cars or
like,
something?
no, it was like, I like space and like rocket ships.
I like space. What are you on about? I'd love those bed
Yeah, but it
sheets.
was very childish for Nugget. He's like an older teen now.
You should
Anyway,
see
just
my
an
You
observation.
should see my bed sheets. Thompson tank engine. I've got.
I
Oh
would
yes.
not put that past you, Rob. Would not put that past you at
I used to
all.
love Thompson tank engine when I
Used
was
to. He
little.
still goes on about every week. He somehow mentions Thomas the Tank
I
Engine
do
to me.
not. Shut your face. Anyway. Ruined that show. Have you seen it? Have you seen what they've done to that show?
Yeah,
Ruined it.
CGI. Everything's
Ruined it.
CGI
Everything
now, Rob.
CGI is ruined.
Everything.
Ruined.
Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, well, I'm assuming Nugget's going to be fine, but
Yeah, I think
obviously
so.
in the long run, I think he'll be all right. But I'm sure there's some little medical
A little
dramas to come.
recovery.
But so that's all going on. Amy, so do you think we should? I think she's thawing slightly, isn't she? Because she's a good
She's
old
what?
sort. She's thawing,
Thawing.
thawing
Okay.
slightly to
Yes.
and melting.
Yes.
Like sort of warming
Uh,
up to him a little bit. I think
she won't.
slightly.
She's going to stand her ground though. He'll
Oh
need to
yeah,
really
yeah,
make
yeah,
it
yeah,
up to her, I think. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Which I
mean,
think he's a long
oh,
way
she
off
had that
doing.
scene, didn't she, where she was
Mm.
quite in his face about, her
Yeah,
lying too, right? I'm glad that
nah,
we had
too
that
right.
little
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
recognition.
and Avani's not his best mate either at the minute, is she?
No, she's definitely not. No.
No, so he's got a lot of making up to do. So being stroppy all the time isn't going to help his case. But
So maybe him and Amy, it depends on whether he carries on steroids, I guess, whether he and Amy will
mm,
get back together.
but then he wasn't exactly a pleasant person when he was on the
I
steroids.
really
So
like Amy, I like
yeah,
Amy. She's like the she's like the strong, wise side of Roxy, isn't she? Because Roxy
Mm.
did have that side as
Yeah, now
well.
and again, Roxy would have quite a mature side to it. Not very often,
Yeah.
but it was there now and
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like that's the one point of her personality that
Yeah.
Roxy's given Amy, which is quite good. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do like. I'm assuming at some point they're gonna get back together because the point is that if she is there in McClunky's with Yolande and like prepared to have that
Yeah.
conversation, there is still something there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
You'd think. You'd
I think at
think.
some point they will end up getting back together.
Mm.
Talking of Yolande, really nice stuff there because Yolande obviously sees Denzel sort of lashing out and everything and decides to sort of just talk to him because Denzel comes home and it turns out, by the way, that Yolande and Delia's testimony has managed to get Pastor Clayton
Oh,
charged.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I feel like that should have been a bigger moment.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It kind of was slotted in. But then
It
again,
was,
how else was she going to find out, really?
yeah, I
Levi
know.
just came and delivered the news. I know what you're saying there. I do know. I do get it. Maybe it'll be a bigger moment
Court
once he's
case.
actually sentenced, and yeah,
Yeah,
once we
there's going
have
to be a
that
court
actual
case. Yeah,
definitive moment
that'd
that
be
no, he
good.
has been found guilty.
And then
Because
and then
right now he's just
and we don't.
charged.
Although that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be found
Well,
guilty at
no,
the
it
end of this,
doesn't.
does
But
he?
maybe, yeah,
Realistically,
yeah, true.
realistically, as we've seen from our stat
Mm,
research, it might not end up that
mm,
way. But Denzel comes home to them talking about this, and he's actually the
yeah,
only one in the family that doesn't know what went on with Yolande. So he kind of gets
yeah.
all paranoid and thinks everyone's talking about him, storms off, and Yolande's like, right, okay, I need to tell him,
Better go and tell
I
him.
need to talk to him. So they have this really nice scene, don't they? I really like that scene where like she actually tells him what went on, and then he obviously goes, "Right, I'm going to kill him." And she said, "Well, you'll have a job because he's currently in a cell. So good luck with that." So I'm pleased that I love Denzel and Yolande's relationship.
Yeah,
It's nice, isn't it? Like it
yeah,
seems
it
that
is.
Yolande is probably the only one that can really get through to Denzel a lot of the time, which
Yeah,
is
he's got a lot of
nice.
respect and love for her, Auntie
Yeah,
Denzel.
it's like this. It's similar to that sort of relationship that Ben and Pam used to have. You know, I quite like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
Can
always work when
see that
you've got
parallel.
a tear away and a kindly older lady. It's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Mm, good, good, good.
Uh, I did think, is Denzel still going to run off and find Pastor Clayton somehow? Will he get released or something in
Maybe.
between the sentencing? Is he
Well, we
still
did
going to have
think
his
we thought
moment?
this right at the start of this, didn't we? When it was when Denzel
Yeah,
first started taking them and the sexual assault first happened, we were like, well, that's going to be a combination, isn't it? It's Denzel, angry Denzel on drugs, and someone who sexually assaulted his auntie. That's not going to go
yeah.
well. So yeah, I think that might still happen. I
Mm,
think there is more to come out of Yolande's storyline because, like you say, I think it was if that would be a bit of a sort of anticlimactic ending to
mm,
what we've had up to this
yeah.
point. So I feel like there is more to come there. So have to wait and see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, next story. I have a question for you, Ree.
Go
What
on.
the hell is Ian up to? Mm,
Right, he's either on phone to
hmm
Cindy Jr. or Jane.
Yes.
I think
Well,
Jane.
I hear tell, which is another reason why I'm really sorry that I'm
Is
not
this a
here next week.
spoiler or a
No, no,
rumor?
it's not a spoiler.
Oh,
I
neither.
just hear
Okay.
tell. I hear tell that it's big next week, whatever is kicking off with this. I'm
For
sorry, I'm
God's
not here.
sakes,
I'm
Rob.
sorry. All right. I sent my holiday schedule to the BBC and they didn't listen. So I asked them politely, can you please work your storylines that you've got planned 6 months in
And they
advance
didn't.
around my
Right.
holiday schedule? And they
Okay.
didn't listen. So
Okay, not your
frankly,
fault.
defund the BBC, I say. No, I don't mean that. I love the BBC.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he's on the phone to somebody and he's up to something. He's telling lots of lies, pretending that he's a counsellor. Do you remember Counsellor Beale? That was a
I
time,
do
wasn't
remember
it?
Councillor
Yeah.
Beale. How could we ever
Keep it
forget
real like
Councillor
Ian.
Beale?
Keep it
Yeah,
real
keep it
like
real
Ian
like
Beale.
Ian Beale. Yeah.
Yes. Apparently Letitia Dean has still got that cardboard cutout in her dressing room.
Okay.
Apparently, they said that you know the Secrets from the Square that they did during
Yeah, yeah,
COVID.
yeah, yeah.
She revealed that they had that big cardboard cutout of Ian, and she's kept it
Yeah.
because purely for the fact it makes her laugh.
Yeah, fair
So
enough. Why
if she's
not?
had a heavy day's filming, she will just go into her dressing room and just look at Ian, at the cardboard cutout, and absolutely piss herself laughing.
There
That's
you go. Good.
fabulous way to live, I
Yeah.
say. Um, so what we've got in the background with this, Bobby's birthday's coming up. I
Oh
liked
yeah, Bobby's
this.
birthday,
Bobby's
yeah.
21st, right? Can we say Bobby was 11
He's
when he killed
10.
Lucy?
He's 10. But
10,
Bobby's still
11?
10 to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
we're about
exactly.
yeah, he's 10 or
21.
11, yeah.
We are so old, Ree. so old. He was
I
a
know.
child when he killed Lucy, and now he's like 21, a
Older than
fully grown
Lucy.
adult. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch, actually. Really, and I can imagine that really messing with Bobby. I thought that was really,
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Yeah.
I do feel for him. I really, really do.
As if Anna didn't figure that out when he said, like, oh, well, not everyone's here to celebrate my birthday. And she's like, oh, what does it mean? It's like, come on, Anna, you're not that ditzy. It's pretty obvious.
going through his phone book, and sort of like, oh well, I
Like,
can
which
that
one of you
bloke
don't
you.
want to?
Which one of you nasty people?
Yeah.
Um, so he's not really looking forward to being 21, which I can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Ian clearly couldn't care less. So Peter is sort of just left with sort of trying to work it out,
Could
unless,
Ian
of
really
course,
care, not care less, or is Ian actually planning to try and get Jane back? That's what I was wondering.
it would be
To
nice.
see him
I'd
for his
love to.
birthday.
I
That's what
would
I was wondering.
love to see Jane again. It would be
Yeah.
nice. It would be nice before Bobby's exit if he can put this to bed in his head, wouldn't it?
Or
That would be nice.
maybe it's to do with his exit or something, and Jane
Mm.
maybe is gonna come back, and that's
Goes
how
off
they're
with Jane.
writing it in somehow. Yeah,
Goes off with Jane. That would be
that'd make
nice, wouldn't it?
sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I'm
then,
gonna
but then, if Jane came back and she were willing to try and make a go at it with Ian again, who do you think he'd pick between Jane and Cindy?
Cindy
Do you reckon?
all day long, all
Right,
day
fair
long,
enough.
all day long. Because because ultimately he's got back with her, even though she had multiple affairs. He knows that she kissed
That
George,
is
and she
true.
tried to
Yeah.
have him, and she tried to have him shot,
Yeah, but are they both a bit of
and
a
she faked her own
convenience?
death.
I know. He's just got a
So if she's
really
prepared to
bad
take him
soft spot
back,
for her.
and
Yeah.
actually thinking about that as well, why out of the two women you say, right? So one of them
Yeah.
reminds him of Lucy, the other
Yeah,
one
yeah,
took
yeah.
Lucy away from him in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, true. Helped hide Lucy's.
yeah,
Yeah,
dumped her
okay.
in the
Yeah.
woods with wild abandon, just
I
put
love
her over
Jane
her
and Ian
shoulder.
though. Jane and
Oh,
Ian was such a
Jane.
good
They
duo.
really were, and I think it's interesting now, actually, leading up to the anniversary again, that they're sort of bringing up the Lucy stuff again because it was such
Mm,
a huge storyline. And again, we're still on this. We're still talking about the Lucy storyline all these years
mm,
later.
yeah.
Is that not the greatest soap storyline of all time?
Yeah, I
Lend
know. I
me.
hated it at the time as
Oh,
well.
I didn't. I loved
Absolutely
every second.
hate. Now,
I
like, why have
love.
you killed Lucy off?
Oh, I
Why?
loved
But yeah,
every single second of the Who
yeah.
Killed Lucy storyline. It lost a
Mm,
bit of. It got a bit weird towards the end, but ultimately, I think it was one
yeah,
of
yeah.
the great. I mean,
I
name
just
me
didn't
any
like that
other
they
soap.
killed her off.
Yeah, fair. I mean, but name me any other storyline that we're still talking about 10 years later on a soap.
True.
I can't think of any. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, brilliant. So yeah, interesting. This is all probably going to be kicking off next week because there's a lot kicking
Well,
off next week.
is
So I'm
this
intrigued.
linking into the stuff that's going to happen with
Happened with
Anna going out for
Anna.
Bobby's birthday or something?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, not to spoiler it or anything, because we did mention this in spoiler sections last week. So the stuff kicking off with Anna soon as well. So I think it might all be connected in some
Yeah.
way in this big old week that I'm not here for next week. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. So there
Someone's
we are
still
then.
going to ask next week, even though
Oh,
you've
someone,
mentioned it enough times. Where's
I
the
will get at
podcast?
least 2 emails next week saying,
Yeah.
why is there not a podcast? What are you doing? What are you playing at? What are
Yeah.
you playing at? Oh, sorry.
To be
I'm
fair, what
sorry.
are you playing at, Rob? But
I
anyway,
know.
yeah,
I'm
someone
sorry.
asked.
Right. So we will discuss that ultimately in a couple of weeks' time, I think. That'll be the
Do you
outcome of
think it?
that.
But do you
Go
think
on.
it is Jane, by the way, or do you think it's Cindy Junior? Because I'm seeing a lot of people online saying Cindy Junior.
I haven't seen the Cindy Junior theories. I've only seen the Jane theories kicking
Oh no,
around.
I've seen a lot saying Cindy Junior as well. Yeah,
But why would Ian be on the phone to Cindy Junior?
because she's going to come back, and he's just trying to surprise
Just
Cindy
cause.
with it.
For a
Yeah,
laugh. Oh,
yeah.
okay. So nothing to do with Bobby then whatsoever. You think with the Ian stuff?
No, possibly not. Well, I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of people. I think it'd be better if it was Jane, but I've seen a lot of people
Yeah.
theorising that it's
Because
Cindy
he also
Junior.
did. Well, he also did turn around to Peter at the end. Peter sort of because he's been making up this counselling lie all week, and
Yeah.
Peter goes, "Well, I don't trust you," and rings the council and discovers that Ian is nowhere near doing anything to do with the council.
Mm.
So ultimately confronts him, and Ian says, "Right, okay, yeah, fair play. There is something going on, but you're not going to like it." So I feel like that more lends itself towards Jane than it does to Cindy Junior. Because as far as I remember, Cindy Junior and Peter didn't exactly leave each other on bad terms,
That's
but
true.
Jane and Peter definitely did.
Yeah.
So I think that's more likely, isn't it?
I agree, but there are
Mm.
people saying Cindy Junior, so
Well,
with a
they're
recast.
fools, I say. But that means that's probably Cindy Junior.
Well, no, but then to be fair, then why not just show the Cindy and Cindy reunion on screen if it were going to be
Yeah,
Cindy Junior? Why did they bother doing it
exactly,
off screen? So yeah, it
exactly.
probably isn't. Yeah.
We'll see. We will see. Right, ladies and gents, time for the big storyline of the week. You were right. I was right. Feel so lonely. So, on to the big storyline of the week. Ree, you were right. And I
Thanks,
was
Rob.
right.
Yeah, no,
Individually, we were both correct.
we're both, yes.
Ooh, I'm so happy this storyline is happening.
I mean, I could
Yes.
say I'm not happy, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good storyline to
it's
happen.
such a genius storyline to give to Phil because this is so outside of his usual remit as a character, isn't it? Like this is outside gangsters and bats and
And it's the
like
perfect kind of guy to give it to because a lot of men get
older
old
men.
and end up doing this and pushing people away and then
Yeah.
wonder why they're
And Phil is
rattling around their house on their own.
yeah, and Phil is literally the last man on earth who is going to talk about his feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mhm.
this is I love it, I love it. So
So,
okay, so a load happened with this storyline actually because we got Stevie halfway through the week as well.
has he fully gone now then?
I
Because
don't know. He's
you were
definitely
in a
gone for
cab.
now. Yeah, I mean he's definitely gone for now, hasn't he? So I feel like
Definitely.
we'll see him again at some point. But it was Stevie's birthday, okay?
Yes. Oh yeah, we
And
had all this happen.
all this happened.
Woo!
Yeah. So
Yeah.
rewind. Um. So Stevie's birthday,
Yes.
and Billy is kind of like, well, I get on with my dad now. This is great. Yeah, we'll have a first dad and son birthday, and it'll all be marvelous. We'll drink pints and be merry and watch the footy, and yes, it'll be fabulous. And so the only person that isn't entirely thrilled with this idea is, of course, Phil,
Phil.
who just doesn't. Did we ever really get like the true reason as to why?
No, there's still some
But
big
then
reason why Phil doesn't like
but
Stevie.
the thing is, I think this was answered by the end of the week.
You
It's
reckon?
pure, yeah, I think it's pure and utter bitterness and pure and utter jealousy because Stevie comes into Billy's life and all of a sudden Phil realizes that he's not the most important figure in Billy's life anymore because all of his new family has turned up.
Mm,
I mean, obviously, I don't think Phil knew about the likes of Teddy and Harry and Barney,
yeah.
but what it meant was that another sort of patriarch comes into Billy's life and sort of Billy's got someone new to look up to, essentially. That's what it's about. It's about Phil being the head of his clan. And when Stevie arrives, that position is threatened.
See, I still think there's more to it. I know what you're
Like
saying
what?
there. I don't know.
I think that's genuinely all it is.
You
I really
reckon? You
do.
reckon it's all done with and it would just Phil being a bit too OTT about
Yeah,
Stevie coming back
I
and
think
there
so.
were no
Yeah,
real reason. I
I think
still think
so.
there might be something, but you may well be right. I know what you're saying. That he's just jealous that Billy's going to have someone else in his life
Yeah.
and would he be jealous of an old man like that though? It's not like it's
It's
much
not
of a
about
competition.
the being jealous of
Hierarchy.
yeah, that's what it's about. It's about the fact that no matter how many times that Phil like slaps Billy around and treats him like a little worm, at the end of the day, Phil needs Billy more than
Mm,
Billy needs Phil. And
true.
that's something that I think he was confronted with this week,
Mm,
where, and Billy really stuck up for himself this week, which was, there was some
Wait till
really
he
kind of,
finds out that it was Teddy who put him up to that as well.
so
Mm.
oh yeah, we'll talk about Teddy in a minute because I'm now
Oh,
I don't know. I
really?
don't
Oh,
know.
really,
I
Rob?
don't know yet. I don't
Oh,
know.
really? Is there just something that you can't put your finger on with him? Hmm?
Maybe.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't
Because
know.
I quite liked him this week.
We swapped boats.
Oh,
Um
yeah, a little bit.
so yeah, this all birthday stuff is going on and Phil's like, well no, I just need to get rid of you. This is enough now. No more birthdays in Walford, thank you very much. So he rings Richie.
Yeah.
And Richie obviously has a Wikipedia on every single person that Phil could ever want her to have a Wikipedia
Yeah,
information on.
actually, very good point. How did she
Isn't it?
find that
It's all
out?
very
Yeah.
convenient. I mean, Richie can find out anything about anybody in the
Yeah, of
world.
course.
You
She's
know,
got contacts.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that Buckingham Palace ring up Richie every now and again just to find out things about people that they need to get rid of. You know, it's sort of like, can you just find out a bit for you? Yeah, cheers. Um, and so what Phil then discovers is this whole story about Billy's mum. Now,
Mm.
I think we both thought that Val was dead anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, I already thought.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Why did we think that? I
I
thought
don't
that she.
know. Well, I think it was just assumed that we never
Yeah.
really met. We've never met her before, and Billy's of
Mm.
a certain
Who
age,
were
so
in
I kind of
care and he had
yeah,
his
if I didn't
dad on his
care.
own, so
Yeah,
just
I think we
assumed
just
that she'd
assumed
already
that yeah,
died.
just
Yeah.
assumed that she was dead. Well, she is dead, but not for the reasons. But Billy thought she was still alive. It
Yeah.
transpires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy thought she was swatting it up in the
He were
Tenerife or
quite,
something.
and he were quite nice about it. Like, oh, I just thought that she'd like had a win on bingo and left me in care. But I hope she's doing all right, no matter where she is.
I mean,
I'm
that is.
like, eh?
I mean, that
Would
is
you
the
not be a bit more bitter about your mum
I
leaving
know.
as
Is that
well?
not just the simplicity of Billy? Like, just I assume she's wants some on the bingo. What a nice life she must be having.
Yeah,
As if any woman
yeah.
leaves their sons because they've had a win on.
But
How
oh
many
yeah,
wins on the bingo do you think it's going to take to be able to leave a child behind for the rest of their
yeah.
lives?
2 children as well.
Yeah, 2 bingo wings.
Yeah,
Wins,
wings.
wins, two
Oh
bingo
God,
wins. Anyway,
yes. Anywho,
so all of this is revealed, and it
yeah.
turns out that what actually happened was that Stevie was having like a fling with Teddy's mum.
Mhm.
Billy's mum walked in on this, was so devastated by what she saw that she ran away, went to a hotel room, and was found the next morning next to a bottle of pills, and she was dead. She committed
Mm.
suicide over what she had discovered. And Stevie has had to live with this like for the rest of his life, and has
Mm.
kept all of this away from the rest of the family, like this big dark secret that he's got about his involvement in Billy's mum's death. So, Billy discovers all this, courtesy of Richie. How the flip Richie found out all of this, I have no idea. Like,
Good
wow, how
save,
did
Rob.
Thank you. How did Richie find out all of this? I'd love to
I
know.
don't
Like,
know. She just must know people, or maybe
just
she just
everything.
has access to certain registers because
Mm,
she knows somebody. And she said, "Right, look up anything about
yeah,
Stevie." And then they said, "Oh,
yeah,
what about his wife? Do you know
mm,
that she died in this year?" And she went, "No, we didn't." There we go.
yeah. So that's the story that we've now got. And quite obviously, Billy's very, very upset by this. They have a big old confrontation. Really good episode for Billy, I think, on the
Mm,
Tuesday episode, where he's just sort of dealing with the consequences of this, realizing that he's basically been lied to his entire life by the man that ultimately put him in care. And we know that Billy didn't have an easy time in care, so there's a lot of blaming going on, and a lot of it's going towards Stevie. So in some ways, Phil is feeling completely utterly vilified by what he's done. It's sort of like it makes total sense to him. Like clearly, he's a very bad man. Off you go then. Um, and ultimately, Stevie realizes that he has to say farewell for now. I think we are going to see Stevie again, though. I get that
yeah.
impression because I think he's gone down quite well with the audiences. I think a lot of people
Mm.
really like him, so
He
I
and
think we'll
Mo
see him
worked
again.
as well. I
They really
liked
did,
that because
yeah,
obviously Mo was kind of there so that we could see Stevie talking to somebody
yeah,
about what were going on.
yes. He's a
But
good
him and
character
Mo
device for
were a
that.
good. They were
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
little
yeah,
duo
yeah,
as well. That yeah, I'd like
yeah.
to see that again.
I think we'll see Stevie again. I
Mm.
really, really do.
Are they still
Um,
boyfriend and girlfriend,
yeah, that's what they
or have they
said.
just? Yeah,
That's what
that's
they
what I
said.
thought. So
He's described Mo as he's got one of them
yeah,
described him as a boyfriend or a girlfriend towards the
yeah.
end when they had that sort of send off scene. So that was quite touching.
Mm.
So yeah, I think we'll definitely see Stevie again, and I look forward to it when it happens. But before he goes, he he has an argument with Phil, and then sort of swipes Phil's car keys out of his
Of
pocket,
course, yeah.
and then gets Mo to get someone to steal it and sell it for like I don't know 50 grand or something.
20,
It's
20
20
grand, I
grand.
think. Yeah, only
Um,
20, Rob.
my favourite part of this was when Phil came out and discovered that the car was missing and turned around to Sonia and said, "Have you seen my Mo?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's really nice. I like
Yeah,
your
it's really
car."
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. That was good.
That's funny. Um, so I don't think he's ever going to see this car again. And Stevie leaves the money that he got in cash to Billy to give to Janet and Will.
Mm,
And that,
nice. Why not?
yeah. And funnily enough, Billy's quite forgiving after that. He's
Yeah.
like, I was like, all right, fair, thanks very much. So they sort of have an understanding that Stevie needs to leave, but you've also given me 20 grand, so I think we'll call it quits then. Fair play.
Well, and we also have Billy obviously puts 2 and 2 together and goes, well, he's obviously stole Phil's car and given me
Yeah,
money.
in
But
a
Billy's
piece
all
of
right with it, isn't he?
in a piece of very uncharacteristically logical thinking by Billy, he does sort of work
Yeah.
it. Mind you, it's not that difficult to work out,
No,
really, is it? Phil's car's
I
gone
think
missing,
he
and I've
discussed it
now
with Teddy and they both went,
yeah. To be fair, I
yeah,
think Teddy was the one that put it in the
it
put the
helped
idea
it,
in his
yeah,
head, wasn't it?
yeah.
Um, so that all
But
kind of
Billy's
kicked
okay
off.
with it because obviously he found out that Phil was trying to set Stevie up for the missing money
Yes,
and then goes and
so
has this massive
massive
argument with
conversation, which he
Phil,
calls
yeah.
Phil the runt of the
The
litter.
runt.
And I tell you what, that was one of those moments when it was one of those really kind of satisfying moments where you've watched these characters for long enough that you know that's hit home, that you know that's
Mm-hmm.
actually a really massive moment for Billy to say that to Phil.
Mm-hmm.
It genuinely made me gasp when he said that. I was like, oh, Billy, oh, literally Billy Big Bollocks over here, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a big moment that I thought, and that was the start, I think, of Phil starting to feel as though he was starting to be pushed away by the family,
Yes.
and that only worsened throughout the week. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, so they have this meal. And Phil, because Phil and Billy have fallen out, Billy doesn't want him there. This is really it's really difficult with Phil because he brings all of this on himself.
Yeah, but
And
well,
yet, do you feel sorry
is
for him?
that I do, yeah, but then
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, is he already going through some depression stuff before the
I mean,
loneliness is kicking in? Because, well, before the meal, we've also had Tommy and Kat who've decided that they're not having anything more to do with him because he snapped at Tommy, didn't he?
mm,
And Kat's decided Tommy's clearly wanting a life of crime now after he's caught pickpocketing.
logical thinking, to be fair, with Phil as a father
So
figure.
that's no longer a connection he's got either because he was still very
Mm,
much playing stepdad in some respect to Tommy.
yeah.
Then we have the Denise and Raymond thing.
Mm,
And Denise made a comment which made me wonder, oh, are they trying to imply that he's already getting depressed because she said he's so angry all the time?
mm,
And that irritability can be a symptom of depression, can't it?
mm,
So is that why Phil's been so he's coming across as super defensive, and
mm.
is that
It's
just him being
interesting.
irritable and reacting like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because the way that he sort of flares up at that meal, yeah,
Mm,
because they have this big meal in Wolford East, and he is just genuinely furious at Teddy and yeah, him and Harry do not get on whatsoever.
no.
Like they really, really don't. I think it's because Harry reminds him of
Reminds
Keanu
me
in
of
the show.
Keanu.
I really do.
Totally.
They really
Totally.
are
It's like I met your
quite
cat
similar.
before.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really are quite. So you stay away from Sharon as well. They really are quite similar, aren't they?
Mm,
So those two are flaring up, and Phil starts accusing Harry. He starts slagging off Stevie, of which immediately gets Harry's back up. And then Phil decides, oh well, clearly you're the one that's nicked my car in revenge or something. So they start having a fight. Jay, who has been trying to play peacemaker throughout the week,
yeah.
ends up getting one of those moments where someone gets smacked in the process. Jay's got a bloody nose. All the kids are there
Is
watching this.
that enough for Jay to turn his back on him? Because I think that's what's being implied now. Well, he's just hit Jay. Surely
No, I
Jay
don't
would know
think
he didn't
so.
mean to hit me.
I mean, I think the thing is, I think that Jay is in a place at the moment where he's sort of like, look, I've got enough going on. All right, I've got Lexi to
Mm,
look after, and I'm still sort of grieving my wife because nobody
yeah.
will stop going on about Lola. So I need to. There's still this picture of
The
her behind the
picture's
bar.
still up it every
It's
time I want
just
a
still up.
pint.
Every single time I need to find
Yeah.
a new pub because like just every time I go in there, I see my
There's
dead
just
ex.
a
I
reminder
see my dead
everywhere.
ex-wife.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Jay's got enough going on. So I
Yeah.
feel like is slightly less abandoning him than everybody else because Jay's the one that is trying to sort of hold everything together this week. But they end up in a big old fight. Jay ends up accidentally getting smacked, and then there's this really interesting moment between Phil and Teddy,
Mm,
and I think this is the catalyst to it because Phil and Teddy, I think Phil sees everything he wants to be in Teddy.
yes. I remarked on that last week when he was
Mm.
trying to give advice to Ravi, and I thought, you're trying to copy what you see Teddy as being like.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm,
mean, I think this is a really interesting dynamic between Phil and Teddy that we've not
mm,
really seen with Phil before. Like every so often, what we'll get is a new hard man that comes onto the square and is Phil's competitor, and he's not a
yeah.
hard man until he's taken on Phil. That's normally the formula for how it goes. But actually, what we've got here is somebody taking on Phil emotionally
Mm.
rather than
Well,
sort of
what
physically.
was that line he said? Because he was saying that he could have had him at darts, and then he said something about the art of war is to
Yeah, they are.
subdue the
Yeah,
enemy without
subdue the
fighting or
enemy.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I think
I'm
Phil went, oh,
that was
right, aren't you the
that was
bigger man?
far too
Brilliant.
philosophical for Phil to
Do you
do.
reckon?
He was like, "What?"
I didn't think that. I think you were like,
I know.
oh, you got me.
I think he got it, but it was sort of
Yeah,
like,
but
"Was
he was
that
just
what?
like,
Is that how you've been playing this around the start? How the hell am I supposed
no,
to know?"
no,
Hey,
me, Phil,
hey,
me
hey,
fist.
hey,
Hey, hey.
hey. Um. So, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
Phil got what he was saying. But this is what I
yeah,
mean
yeah.
with Teddy. I want him to be good, but I don't know.
Ah, so now you're not buying it now, are you, Rob? Is that
It's
what
the
you're trying to
jump.
say? Is it
It's the
too good to be
jumper.
true?
It's the jumper. Someone nobody walks around with a jumper like that over their neck if they're a good bloke. Let me tell you.
But no, but I agree. It's almost a bit too like I'm trying to prove a point. Look at how suave I am with the
I
jumper.
mean, I don't think he's an angel, put it like that.
It
But
is part of his character, though, as
yeah, yeah,
well. I get that,
I
but
don't think he's an angel. But what I think is the idea. What I love about the way that these new Mitchell boys have been brought in is that actually it's not about, because so often when a new kind of brood of characters come in, the characters that they are coming into sort of deal with them all quite quickly, and it's sort of like,
Yeah,
okay, this is the new normal now. But actually, what this has done is their arrival has really sort of ricocheted some characters off in a completely different direction, which I think is really. This is, sort of feels like, oh, that's how you do it. That's how you bring a new bunch of characters into the
yeah,
Mitchells, and ultimately, where all this boils down to is Phil feels threatened. And I
yeah.
think he looks at Teddy and I think he sees everything that he wishes he was,
Mm.
because
Yeah,
he's
no, I
aware of it.
agree.
Phil's aware of his own anger. Phil's aware that he very often ruins things. He breaks everything he touches. Um, and he looks at someone like Teddy, whose kids adore him, who is the family man, who is
Yeah.
capable and clever and intelligent, and Sharon clearly fancies. You've got that last kick in the balls before
Oh,
the end of the
yeah.
week as well. So,
Phil, I think it's very clear that Phil is a result of Eric's upbringing,
oh god,
and
yeah. Yeah,
mm,
imagine what Phil could have been without Eric's upbringing. That's what Teddy is. Teddy
yeah,
is what
exactly.
is Teddy is what a Mitchell man looks like if he's not had Eric Mitchell as a father figure. And that
Yes.
is what winds Phil up more than anything, because he realizes what he could and should have been.
I
And that
agree.
is fascinating to me for
And
a character like Phil.
maybe that's why Teddy's turned out the way he has, because Stevie has brought Teddy up when he's not been around the other
Mm,
toxic Mitchell men as well.
yeah,
So then he's been able
yeah.
to actually,
I mean, of all, Stevie is a lot of things. He's a bit of an idiot, clearly, because of what he did, and the way that he kind of couldn't keep it in his pants. But ultimately, not exactly a bad person. You know what I mean? Just
mm,
someone who's clearly quite
made
crap at
mistakes, a lot of
made
mistakes,
mistakes,
and
quite crap at dedication, but ultimately probably quite a
yeah,
good dad in the sense of what you
yeah.
can turn somebody into when you don't just dump them in care like you did Billy. If you actually put the effort in, like he clearly did with Teddy, that's
Mm.
what you get.
Or
So,
is or Rob, is there
or
a dark side to
or is there a dark
Teddy?
side to Teddy?
Where's Teddy getting all his cash from?
Maybe
Why is
Teddy's
he able
got.
to just chuck money around like he does?
Maybe Teddy's got Bianca tied up in a warehouse somewhere.
Oh, you
Maybe,
reckon?
yeah. No, of course I didn't.
And
But no,
Harry and Barney's mum secretly.
maybe,
That's where
yeah.
she is.
No, do you know what? Now we're talking about it. What I really think Teddy is supposed to be about is, yeah, I think he's a bit dodgy. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a bit of a rough
Yeah.
diamond. I don't think he's going to be like the next villain at
Mm,
all. But what I'm saying is, I feel like there is that, maybe that little bit where he might go a little bit dark in terms of, because ultimately Teddy is the new Mitchell generation. Like, these
mm,
new boys are supposed to be, I think, the next face of the Mitchells. So he's got to have that side of him where he will switch occasionally. But I
mm.
don't think he's going to be like an out and out villain with a shelf life at
Oh,
all.
and see, no, I don't. But I think he's one of them where he's going to be like, look, I spoke to you nicely. I tried to sort this out calmly 3 times. I have a 3-time strike and then like gouge their eyeballs out or something.
With a spoon.
Do you know what I mean? I tried
Yeah,
to talk to you nicely, didn't I? And then,
yeah,
yeah,
maybe. We'll
one of
see.
them.
We'll see. I think there's going to be much more to come with Teddy, but I'm really, really, really fascinated by this dynamic between Phil and Teddy. I think it's
Mm.
really, really clever.
Who made the comment when Phil first goes into the restaurant and he's not got the head of the table seat, and
Ian.
somebody says, "Oh, you've been
It
demoted."
was
Oh,
Ian
we're
of all
Ian.
people.
Oh
Just to
well,
make Phil's day 10 times worse.
jeez,
Even Ian's got one
yeah,
over him
just
at
to
this
rub
point.
salt in the wound. It's
But
so
wasn't
you've
that
been
in,
demoted.
but wasn't that interesting at that moment that Phil
Yeah.
goes and sits at his natural place at the head of the table, and yet he's so far apart from everybody else on the table.
Yes,
Like,
the
he's so
symbolism
alone.
in that
He's
seating.
so
Yeah.
alone, even at where he belongs at the head of the
Mm,
table.
yeah.
So ultimately, like you say, comes home, has a row with Denise and Raymond. Denise storms out. Why Denise has been there all this time, I have no idea.
I don't either, and he's so harsh to Raymond. It's
Oh,
unreal.
that was so hard. That was really, really sweet what Raymond did to try and make it. It was horrible at that moment. It really,
Yeah,
really
and
was.
I'm sorry. I get that he's had a bad day. I get that he's had his car nicked. I mean, he
Yeah.
normally can
He's in a
just
very bad
pluck
mood.
20. He can normally pluck 20 grand out of his secret safe
Yeah.
anyway. So I don't really know what he's crying about, to be
What you
honest.
whinging about, honestly. But
But no
ultimately,
matter what happens, you
don't
don't come
take
in
it
and
out on
take it
cute
out on your
Raymond.
kid, do you? No.
Especially not cute Raymond. So Denise storms out, and it ultimately leaves Phil completely on his own, and
Yes.
he just dissolves into tears, and that's the last shot of the week.
Poor
And
Phil.
in
Poor
it,
nasty Phil that he's been
isn't
up.
it ridiculous? And I think
Yeah.
I think that's a credit to Steve McFadden. I think, because he, at the end of it, Phil, there is a sympathetic side to Phil because I think ultimately Phil is just a really unhappy person. Like
Yeah.
generally, he's just an unhappy person. You don't get that angry that quickly if you're not if you're a happy person.
Exactly.
And that's because of everything that has happened to him ever since he was a kid, I think, and just the way that he's chosen to deal with it. Um, but I think that the fact that he's crying was actually quite a big moment because I feel like the only time we ever really see Phil cry, it's quite rare to see Phil cry, and I feel like the only time we ever really see Phil cry is like after death of
Death. I
somebody.
was just thinking that. I was just looking at the photo behind you and thinking that's when
Yeah,
we see Phil cry when his
yeah, when
mum's passed.
either that or when he's on crack, one of the two.
Oh, that,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
And so
Well.
for Phil to literally be sitting there crying at this stage of his life, just because he's feeling a little bit sorry for himself, he is feeling fragile. He's feeling vulnerable, which is a brand new thing for Phil.
Yeah.
And he's feeling alone because Louise
Yeah.
won't return his calls, which I think surprises
Yeah.
absolutely nobody.
No.
So I think this is fascinating. I really, really love
Mm.
it. I think this is a genius storyline to give to Phil. I really, really do. And it feels like so long since Phil has had his own story.
Yeah, definitely. I know, I agree. I agree. I'm just wondering how they're going to take it, though. Is it going to be that he's in his house crying, but every time he leaves the house, he's just snappy at everyone
I
and being
think that's
defensive Phil?
I
But
think
then he
that's going to
gets
be
home
it for a
crumbles
while.
every day, kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
think so. Now,
Mm.
where does that go then? Is the question from here
Do
on
you think
in.
he's going to start drinking again?
Well, we haven't long had. It is the sort of thing that would tends to send Phil back to the bottle, but I mean, I feel like we've just had it happening with Linda. Now, maybe they've worked that out quite cleverly in the fact that just as Linda comes back off
Yeah.
it, she's there as his sponsor. Maybe.
Or, or I was just going to say the opposite, and they're just going to get pissed together, and he's going to impregnate another woman on the
Please no,
square.
please no. I can't deal with
And
Linda
then he
having
won't
another
be
kid.
lonely again, though, Phil.
Oh, of
Rob,
course
I
he
called you
will.
Phil then.
Of course he will, eh? Of course he
Right.
will. He'll still be lonely because Linda will be like, "Well, that's a terrible idea. You're not seeing my child. Thank you very much."
She'll
I know
pretend it's mix.
yeah, I can't be doing with another child of Linda, and I can't be doing with Phil having another child either. But yeah, that is an option. I mean, the problem is that Phil, mind you, Phil's got new liver now, so I suppose he can drink whatever he likes, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. Crack
Yeah,
on.
he doesn't
Oh,
have to
no,
worry
no
about that.
crack,
No,
actually.
no,
Don't
no
crack on.
crack. No, no, no crack. Um, yeah, I think it's a possibility he might go back to the bottle as he
I
gets
think they'd.
because this is gonna get worse, isn't it?
I mean,
Because
it'd be interesting to see it without the alcohol first, but given Phil's character, it'd make total sense
it
for him
would
to
make
turn to
total
the
sense.
bottle,
I
wouldn't
think,
it?
yeah, I get a feeling you're right. I think he might end up. He's definitely going to be We're definitely going to have a scene where I think he's going to get drunk
Yeah.
at least once. And it's been a while since Phil's done drunk
Mm.
acting. I love Steve McFadden's
Oh,
drunk
mind
acting.
you,
He is the
I would
most
just.
convincing drunk
Oh,
ever.
he is
So
so
good at
good. He
drunk
and
acting.
Linda, actually, though, to
Yeah,
be fair, Kelly
let
Bright.
me piss
She's
together. Let them do a
exactly,
two.
and let him
I
make a
want a
pissed
two.
baby
I don't
together.
want a
Come
piss
on, Rob.
baby, but what I do want is a pissed two-hander between Phil and Linda. That would be
That would
amazing.
actually be really good. Come on.
I would
That would
love
be
that.
good.
Come on.
Yeah.
What?
That'd be,
Come on.
wow. That'd be the happiest and saddest sight to
Best
see, wouldn't
episode
it?
ever.
Yeah, it would. That would.
um so yeah, brilliant. I love it. I love it. I love it. I really like where this is going. Yeah, fantastic. I'm intrigued to see where it goes from here. I think you're right. I think he's going to end up drinking again, but I think that I'm because the thing is with Teddy and Sharon, because that's a thing now as well. Like Sharon has
Yeah,
seen a new
fully.
bald. Well, Sharon's seen a new bald Mitchell, so she's like, "Yep, I need to add that to my
Yeah,
list."
yeah.
Checkpoint. So
She's
that's going to
like
happen at some
Stacey
point.
with Branning Men, isn't she? Who's
Yeah,
Sharon with Mitchell
yeah,
Men. Mm.
yeah.
Maybe
So
Harry as well. Maybe Harry needs to watch
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. She'll make Barney put his book down for sure. Um, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, love it, love it, love it.
Yep, yep,
Gold
yep.
star this week, Ree.
Oh, I am thinking. Oh, I'm torn between the two. You say yours and then I'll say mine in case it's the same two.
I'll give mine to Phil because I loved it.
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to give it to Billy for
Yeah,
standing up to him.
yeah,
Yeah.
fully fair.
Yeah.
So Phil and Billy for the gold stars this week. Let us know who your gold stars are going to in the comment section. And talking of comments, we shall now go to what you guys have been saying about this week's episodes.
So starting off with a comment that we've got from Lauren Charles, who says, "This was another excellent episode. Definitely confirms the loneliness storyline for Phil. Once again this week, I have to comment on Teddy. Such a brilliant character for the Mitchell family and the show in general. He's a genuinely lovely guy, it seems.
Oh,
Seeing Phil break down at the end was hard. Certainly hard to not feel sorry for him. as he is struggling with this lonely phase of his life. Well done, EastEnders.
See, Lauren doesn't think there's anything dark going on with Teddy, does she?
Well, it'd be. Do you know what? I am actually going to put a poll out on our Instagram about this,
Yes,
Rob.
do that. Yes,
And I
we'll get
want
the
you to let
definitive
us
answer.
know,
Yes,
yeah, what
yes.
you think. Is there a dark side to Teddy, or
We
is
should
it
do that more
genuine?
often. We should do that much more
And
often.
we'll read the results out in 2 weeks' time
Yes,
once Rob gets back from
yes.
his holiday.
Yes, we
Yes,
will.
let's
That's
do
an
that.
excellent idea. We had a comment from Ben Andrews, who has said, gutted Stevie has left. He was such a great character, and I've never seen Big Mo with such real material to act out before either. He will be missed. Yes, I agree. I do think Stevie will be back. I really, really do. I think he has gone down very well with the audiences, and that's always that's sometimes what they'll do is that they'll sort of test run a character, see how
Yeah.
people react to it, and then
And
sort
then
of
see if the actor will come back. Be like, do you know that
yeah,
little stint you did?
yeah. Do
Fancy
you want to come
making it
back for
more
something a bit more
permanent?
permanent?
Yeah.
Shall we do that? Yeah, Stevie will be
But
back,
also,
100%.
agree with the Mo thing as well, because when you think
Mm.
about it, we don't really see Mo other than with the Slaters or talking about Fat Elvis. So it was
Yeah,
nice
it's
that
nice
she
for her to
had a
have
bit of
something outside of that. Yeah, of her own
yeah,
thing.
and seeing her talking about issues with the family and how she might handle something, seeing a bit more of a
Mm.
serious side to her. That was
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Yeah.
And we've got a final comment from Joe Goodyear who says, Mr. McFadden hit this one out of the park. As we say in the States, a home run.
I think that's a baseball reference, Ree.
It is a baseball reference. I do know some sports, Rob. And
Absolute lad.
we concur. He
Yes.
100% hit it out of the
Yeah,
park
out of
this
the
week.
park. It's in the distance. It's hit a flying plane over the top of the pitch. Yes, it was very, very good.
And who knows what else is to come then if he's done this already this week and got
Mm,
people talking. That's
mm,
just from one scene of him. One
yeah.
scene of
Well,
him
we know
crying,
Steve.
and
We
we're all
know.
talking about it.
We know Steve McFadden can act. He's one of the
Yeah.
best actors in the show. And it gets underrated, I think, how good Phil is because he's been there for so long.
Yeah.
But there's so many layers to Phil that so rarely get scratched at. So I'm really pleased that this storyline is happening. I'm very, very excited. So you can send all your abuse that I'm not here next week to the following addresses.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes.
And we will read all those comments in 2 weeks' time when Rob is back from his holiday that he's inconveniently taken.
Sorry. And please do make sure that you join our Facebook group, by the way, which has just hit 1.4 thousand people.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. We're so popular and famous. Dear. So thank you very much. We were back when I'm back from Budapest in over a week's time. And
Have a great time, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm putting right dampener on you going on
I'll give it
holiday,
a
aren't
go. I'll give it a go throughout my guilt that I'll feel throughout the entire holiday. And I will be back the week after next. And I promise you it'll be worth the wait because if there's a load of big stuff happening this week, I promise you we will cover it all. So just bear with us until I get back. And then I promise you we're not off till October after that, okay?
You're making a lot of promises here, Rob. Let's just...
Well, I'll follow them, Ree.
We'll
Whether
not
you can
pinky
or not.
promise it. We'll not pinky promise it.
I promise it.
Okay.
So, until we see you next, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.